Welcome back to the Kingdom of Pod. We take a closer look at the Boise State Air Force game, and this is a different game from a motivational perspective for me. I know that the Air Force kids are highly disciplined and seem to be, I think it was Dirk Cutter that said, the smartest players in the country. They're certainly amongst the smartest FBS football players in the country. But typically when these two get together, a opportunity to get into the Mountain West Championship games at stake or the leadership in the Mountain Division, and that is not necessarily the case here because you have Air Force with 2 losses, Boise State with 0 conference losses right now. Another twist, to me at least, here is Boise State is not necessarily the hunted team. They have had the shine taken off of them with their couple of losses. They're not ranked nationally. They weren't to begin the year. So, Air Force went into Albertson Stadium and beat them last year. And you have to wonder that little extra motivation of we could do what some people would have said years ago, the impossible in beating Boise State. They don't think about that anymore. So, and I do think that gave them an edge to play with just a little more hair on fire to create a memory for themselves in beating Boise State, which now is not necessarily as novel of an achievement. So Boise State has a lot of motivation. They're in the driver's seat to get to the Mountain West Championship game. And they could even lose one and still have a chance to win out and get it done. Air Force with 2 losses needs a lot of help. They'll help themselves by winning here, don't get me wrong, but it isn't a nationally ranked team. So I do see some differences just looking at it from there. Now, the Air Force offense is not much different. They're still wearing people out. There's different variations of the triple option, the wishbone, all the different zone read options, all the different things that they do. They play with a fullback, though, unlike a lot of schools, and they'll even change that. I mean, coach is brilliant and has a lot of different wrinkles he will pull out, but the bottom line is, as it always is, if your frontline players don't play well, your second-line players are going to get a chance anyway. I can remember times where Boise State faced this kind of an opponent, be it New Mexico or Air Force, where one of the youngest linebackers on the team played the best, and he wasn't even starting. It was Leighton Vander Esch. And whoever plays well gets a few more snaps, but you've got to rotate people in. So it's really the depth of Boise State's defense that is going to be tested. That's extremely important. And once this all starts cranking up and the Air Force offense starts churning out first downs and 10 yards on first down, and it gets to be a difficult thing to stop, you're in the game, but I'm not saying it's over. I'm saying you're in the game, but they're moving it a lot. Fatigue sets in, and then one of these 7 passing attempts per game comes up. It's over your head. It's gone for a touchdown. So Daniels will do that as any Air Force quarterback has always done. And they're averaging 21 yards per completion. And 1 of every 4 pass completions that Air Force will throw will be a touchdown. They make it count. Do we have to go back and review all the different times that an Air Force wide receiver was wide open, he got hit, and Boise State got damaged on that play? We really don't. Now, I think we all understand at this point that it takes a team effort like no other on defense to do something that is effective at slowing Air Force down. And you've got to have 22 guys on defense probably, or more. And offensively, though, when you look at Air Force's defense, the linebackers are extremely active, very successful at attacking others. So if I'm looking at what I need out of my people that are blocking, and Boise State, you have to think, is going to continue with this heavy run game, they're going to have to get guys from the tight ends to the wide receivers to the running back, not with the ball, to get up on those linebackers, and even some offensive linemen to get 2 blocks. You've got to get up on the second level, and that may be something to watch if they're not able to do that. And it's a different game plan. The wide receivers and tight ends at Boise State by this point are getting pretty used to their role on the team, and it's blocking. And I think it's a challenge to constantly reinforce to them how important they are, how great they're doing when they're not catching the ball. Right? They're not scoring touchdowns through the air. So it's a little different culture that they now are in the cycle of defending. Air Force overall has only allowed 128 yards per game on the ground. That's taking in all their opponents. But to me, I think it's important to look at their losses, in the conference especially. Wyoming hits Air Force for 180 yards on the ground, 5 yards a carry, and they get 18 first downs. Utah State beats Air Force this year already. They go for 200 on the ground, 5 yards a carry, 21 first downs. I bring up the first down number because how else are you going to rest your defense? If you're going to open up the playbook, and I don't think Cutter is at this point, and throw it 50 times a game, not run it, and hit some big shots all the time, your defense is going to be on the field a lot. I don't think that's it. So for one of the first times, I see a different motivational structure for the game. And Air Force thinking, is this Navy over there? This is Boise State. They want to run for 300 yards? That's different. It's a totally different matchup. Maybe Air Force's defense gets tired for once. Who knows? That's something that they may not face much unless it's in practice. So I think it's important to move the chains. You don't want to see a punts coming from Boise State because you have limited offensive possessions. The time of possession that Air Force typically has, 36, 37 minutes, is outstanding. And if you're Boise State and you get into one of those kind of games, there's just no room for any wasted possessions. So you don't want to see that. I think it's important in these road games that you play well early. For whatever crowd is at this game, you don't want them into it working against you. I know some of the cadets will certainly be there, but I just don't think it's the same game that it's been in the past. I like Boise State's chances here a lot more than I have other times, so let's hope that's what happens. Talk to you after the game.